Alright, what's up, guys? I'm going to be recapping every single trade that I took today on indices. I took I took like 7 trades, but I lost the executions of 2. I forgot which set of accounts I copy traded with them. So I don't know if I can show the executions. Maybe I took the minis, but I'm just going to explain the logic behind my trades. So I shorted all 3 assets in London, and then pre New York I shorted again. I shorted this move, and then I shorted again pre-market. So I basically took shorts and I longed why I'm like way up here, and I'll show you guys why. So opening up the day, we're just like we're low-key here, right? We have 1800 as a low, so this was my primary target. And if you're looking at the daily as well, like if you look coming into the day here, I'm pretty one-sided bearish, right? I can't really anticipate the move higher. I can only react to it. And so when you look at this huge daily expansion candle, the protocol here is to just mark out the EQ of it, and ideally you want to look for PDRAs to take us down to the previous day's low, because if it's closing like this close to the low, then this is a very very dead obvious draw that you could have on YM, right? So now you want to refine it to the lower time frames, and you want to look for PDRAs that are in discount, and we have this huge 4 hour gap. Now, what you want to look for a continuation is an SMT fill with this gap. Now, if we don't reverse or we don't form an SMT fill with the gap, we go inside here, then what's most likely going to happen is we're probably going to consolidate, engineer liquidity inside of this gap, because when we enter inside this gap, it creates a whole new range for price to play off of, especially since it's in consolidation. So you sweep the high. We're probably going to sweep the high, SMT 2 stage, and we trade lower to the lows. So that was my plan coming into the day. And so I took my first trade here. Uh, Hold on. Let me just get a replay real quick. So I took my first trade here um, on London. So in my opinion, you can't really catch this reversal right here on any of the assets simply because there was no 2 stage, right? All assets swept that high. As you can see, all assets swept that high. If we're looking, take our attention here to YM, it swept that high. And then ES also swept that high. The only thing that you could frame here is a 6 hour sweep, right? You have an SMT with a 6 hour, and that's pretty much it. As you can see right here, YM hasn't swept the previous 6 hour yet. And as you can see, you see how far away, you see the distance between YM here and NQ. You see that distance, and you see how basically NQ is above that range. So you have some sort of advanced premium discount. And so if you want to short this with an asset that is very strong to the upside, so what the thing that you want to see when you have an asset making a deep retracement versus an asset that is making a shallow retracement is that you want the asset that was in deep retracement to make a strength switch, right? So let me draw a simple diagram for you guys here. Say you have an asset that is strong and we're trading higher, and you have an asset that is also trading higher, but it has this deep retracement lower. Now, ideally, what you want to see here is a strength switch, right? Because this asset is lagging behind. It is very much behind, right? And so if you want this asset to reach the same high as well, because the prerequisite for high quality expansions is that all assets must expand in the same direction. And so if you want this asset to expand in the same direction with the same speed and strength as the leading asset, then you need this to be temporarily stronger than this asset. So that might come in a form of an SMT fill, possibly, where this asset taps into an SMT. We create an SMT here. This one doesn't tap into an SMT, and now this one is stronger, and now it can expand with the same energy as it does with the leading asset, right? But you can't really catch this reversal. And the protocol is, if you can't catch the reversal, then you trade the continuation. You wait for gaps to trade away from this high. Since there was no 2 stage at this given reversal, right? All you can do is wait for gaps. That's the only way you can validate trading away from a key level or any level. Really, you can trade away from failure swings as long as we expand away from them and create gaps. So either if you want to trade away from an area, either there are only two scenarios if you want to trade away from an area, right? So either we form a two-stage with a reversal, right? You're probably in a PSP, or we we can we can either not have an SMT, or we could just have a failure swing. And you can validate that if we expand away with gaps. We have a continuation SMT fill inside the gap, and then we trade lower, right? So coming back to the chart, let's come back to the chart now. So since none of the assets actually took that high, my only option was to look for a continuation trade here lower, right? I wanted to look for a continuation trade lower. So I was looking for gaps to be filled, and we actually didn't get that up until we had this advanced premium and discount sequence where, as you can see, you have this very huge spaced out SMT with NQ and YM. I'm going to zoom in on one screen. As you see how NQ is way above this high while YM was way below this low. And so what did I say earlier with my diagram that I drew? Since this asset is having a very huge retracement, a very huge move higher, retracement from the context of this bearish move, this is a very deep retracement. Ideally, what you want to see here is NQ sweep this high and then trade lower. But since we had this deep retracement, we need a strength switch for this asset to expand lower with the same strength as YM. And that is exactly what we get, where YM traded above this high. As you can see, YM traded above this high, while NQ didn't trade above that high. And this is sort of advanced premium and discount because, as you can see, this NQ is in a gap, right? While YM is above the high. And you see how spaced out this SMT is? It's not a failure swing SMT. This asset is in a gap, right? And you have that strength switch that allows NQ to trade lower with the same energy with YM as well. And so after that, I knew YM was going to expand lower because it is poised to go lower as well. NQ was poised to go lower as well because we had this strength switch. Now, one question I get asked here is that which asset do I trade, right? And so you have to look at it this way. I want you guys to take off your attention to the rest of the charts and only focus on the price action inside this box. Now, inside this box, NQ didn't take the high. So if you're only looking at it at price from inside this box, NQ was the weakest asset, right? And now if you want to look at price inside of this box, YM now is the stronger asset to the upside. And so inside of this range, YM is weaker to the upside. So NQ is so much stronger to the downside than YM inside of this range. And so that is why so if you look at the daily here, though, YM is so much weaker than NQ. If you look at the daily candle on Monday on YM, see how deep we're trading lower. And if you can see on NQ, see how weak this expansion lower is. So from the daily context, YM is stronger to the downside. However, from the intraday context, inside of this range, NQ is the weaker one. And so if you're asking me what asset you should take, then ideally you take the asset that matches where your take profit is going to be and your position. So what does that mean? If you're ideally taking YM to the lows, if you're ideally want to take profit at the lows, then you want to take YM because it is the weakest one intraday. Therefore, it has the higher likelihood of expanding lower to the lows. But if you're just trading inside of this range where you're taking profit at this relevant low, then NQ is going to be your best bet because it is inside of this range that it is weaker, right? So anything outside of this range, you'll probably get another strength switch where YM will go expand lower after this range, while NQ is going to be a bit weaker. It was only stronger in this duration. Anyway, I took it on all three assets. So I took this CSD on NQ. I took it on the micros though, because I had to risk a specific amount of dollar so I can get out of the buffer. So I took this for a 4 hour on, let me show my executions. Hold on. So you can see I took it to this relevant low, but I was holding it to this low. In this case, when I was looking at this, my initial plan was that I would take NQ and I would TP at this low and then I would take YM, and then I would take YM, and then I would swing YM to this low. So I would be doing the best of both worlds when it comes to my plan earlier, where if you're trading inside of this range solely, this small range where NQ is weaker, then you take NQ. But since I wanted to trade inside of this range and I wanted YM to take this low at the same time, I took both, and I took ES as well because it was the one that actually gave the best move. It was the middle asset, right? So ES is following what NQ and YM is doing most of the time, and that is why during market open, when they are decoupled, ES most likely consolidates. And you can see that if you go into your study and look for decoupled markets, you see ES will just consolidate. But it is more than likely going to follow NQ. And so if NQ and YM are expanding lower, I can take ES and expand, so it can expand lower as well. Now, I don't know if I took this on micro, but I'm pretty sure it's on my new funded accounts. I think I took that on micros right here. No. I took it on my funded next account. Yeah, so I shorted this as well. You guys can just see the executions in my post, but I shorted this, right? And then for YM, I shorted the 3-minute CSD right here. After this close, I shorted it, had my stop above there, and then I took 2/3 off this low, the same time as NQ, and I was holding the rest to this. As you can see, I TP'd right there. There's my entry. I took partials right there, and I got stopped at break even. So for NQ, it was this was just my copy trader because it wouldn't let me trade on a non-micro account. No, I was setting up my copy trader. My bad, my fault. I'm sorry. It's 4 a.m. I'm tweaking, and I have work at 7. So in this one as well, I did this. I took 2/3 off at I think I went in here with 13, if I'm correct. Yeah, and I took a 2/3 off here, and then I was going to let the rest run to this low, and YM to this low as well. But if YM hit this low, I would have gone out of NQ as well. For ES, I did fixed risk just because I wanted to, it was a quick trade for my account to get out of the buffer. So it was this, and I took it to the low. There we go for a 4R. So that is why I can short all three assets, because they're all expanding. They all have their very own. They have their own. They have their own respective. What's it called? Their own respective ranges where they're going to be weakest and strongest in, and at the same time, they're going to. I had plans as to where I exited on all three, right? And I took it on different accounts just to avoid consistency as well. And then after that, I got break even there. And then here's the thing: if you're looking at this from an intraday context and you get a Kraken correlation, what do you demand when you get a Kraken correlation? You demand immediate expansion lower, right? And with deep retracements, what happened to my chart? All right, my chart is tweaking. Oh yeah, okay. So I will show you guys this. With deep retracements, if we have a reversal here with a confirmed gap fill advanced premium discount sequence, ideally it shouldn't even go above this candle's high. It can, but not above this candle's EQ at the very least. It should just go lower, right? And that's where I got break even. Now here's the thing: when you have a deep retracement, either you need a strength switch or you need a sweep, right? So if we fail to deliver to the opposing liquidity after continuation, then we're most likely, or after a reversal, then most likely we're going to demand a resweep of the highs. So in this scenario, we swept the high, made a continuation lower, we failed to deliver, we have this deep retracement, so most likely I wanted to see it retake this high so I can short it again. Now, why can I short it again after it retakes this high? Because it is an AMD reversal, right? So on the context here of the daily of the intraday, you see how this is all just consolidation. So what we're going to have here is sweep and then trade lower. So that is an AMD reversal profile, and that is typically what you get when assets refuse to expand from key levels. And so I was waiting. I set my alerts on these highs, and so when they got hit here in YM, you see how decoupled this is. So again, back to what I was saying earlier. Why? What do you need when one asset gets a deep run or a deep retracement, right? So this was a deep retracement bearish. You need a strength switch, and we got that strength switch exactly right here. Whereas you can see, on the 7 a.m. open, YM is not purging. YM is not manipulating this high, while NQ is manipulating this high. So you do get some sort of sequence like this, right? So if you have that with YM here as well, you have this sort of sequence, right? So we're just strength switching all the time. And this was the one that I wanted to hold to the lows. And so after we got that strength switch, I was just looking for a CST. Also, I could have traded this as a lagging asset to this high. Now, that was an idea that I had in my head as well, but I needed NQ to keep expanding higher as well, right? Because in the context, I wanted NQ to also be expanding higher so that I could lag YM higher. And there was no gap fill, there was no strength switch either. So after this strength switch right here, I shorted YM right here, have my stop up there, and then I had two-thirds of my, no, not two-thirds, I took half of my position. If I remember correctly, I took 6 contracts here, and then I scaled 3 off at this low, and I was going to hold the rest to this low, but it didn't work out because I'm gonna show you guys in a bit why. Guess it's gonna show the executions here. It's not showing. Oh, there we go. So I shorted at this CST, have my limit here, and then I did 4 first, and then I just added more as it came up. I had my stop up here. No, I had it set at the wick high, and then I scaled 3 off right there at this low. As you can see, I didn't get to set a limit order, but I did get to exit it manually right around here. So it was a bit of a shitty fill, and then I got break even. Now again, applying the same concepts that I said, when we're having a deep retracement, what do we typically need when we fail to provide a follow through from price? What do you need, right? You need either a resweep or you need gaps to confirm that it is going to trade lower. So one of those two scenarios with what we did get here was a resweep, yet another resweep. Now I can keep trading this because it is a relevant high. As long as the signature is given, the profile is given, we have a small wick. Now this one I didn't like. The short I didn't like the best as well. That's why I scaled a lot at 2R, just because we had a 4-hour large wick and a 6-hour large wick. If you guys check that out in your study, I could. So, where were we? Oh yeah. So I got break even, and then afterwards I took this Nasdaq short simply because we got yet another strength switch, right? So strength switches all the time. This is my favorite concept ever. It's the most amazing thing in the world. You guys need to study it. It is what's going to make your trading, I swear. And so you have another resweep here, where now it is a strength switch since this was previously stronger, right? And now you have this SMT at the highs, and pre-driver we have this clean V-shape lower. And so I just shorted at this low. I think I got a bad fill. Yeah, I got a really bad fill. Holy. But it's outside. And then I took it off at right around here. So it was more of a 2R. I think I had a lower stop just because it was a driver. Because it was a driver, it should just expand. It shouldn't really give a deep retracement because we had a reversal put in. But I risked around 500 gear, and no. I risked around 1K here, and I got like around 2.5K. So it's around a 2.5R. And what else? Yeah, so when you have a reversal put in prior to the driver, along with when you have a reversal put in, wait, let me fix this first. So when you have a reversal put in prior to the driver, in this case, you have this on Nasdaq, you can frame it. You can frame the SMT in this way, where if you look at this, right, you have this high first. That is the first stage SMT, and then now NQ is not sweeping this, so this will be your strength switch SMT. And then after that two stage, we proceed to deliver with a clean V shape prior to the driver. Now, when we have driver confirmations, if price manipulates and reverses before the driver, then the driver should just continue lower, right? And so after that, I just longed YM here with the logic of hold on. Yeah, so if you look at RTY and YM, this is more a bit discretionary. The strength switch here was definitely discretionary for me at the very least. So you see how RTY has these equal highs up here, and it is way too high in the range. And you see how low YM is in the range. Now, if I wanna, if I wanna take this, if I wanna take this, then I want the asset that is weaker, aka lower in the range, to be a lot stronger than YM, right? But we didn't really get that with RTY as well. So what I was looking for here is just a continuation to trade higher, right? Even though we didn't get that strength, so you get this SMT fill with RTYs. You can see RTY, but again, I mentioned earlier about ranges. As you can see how YM is so much closer to this high, and as you can see where RTY is a lot farther from that high. And so that is, yeah, I remember now. That's my discretionary strength switch. Same with the range here. So you have this huge range where YM is lower in the range compared to RTY, but now YM is the one closer to the highs of its current intraday range compared to RTY. And now RTY is giving that strength switch SMT fill. Though it's not mechanical, it is more of a determining where we are in the range. I took this CSD, stop below this level, stop below here, and then I TP'd strictly at the highs for a 2R. Now, where's my executions here? I'm gonna show my executions on like my little 2 funded accounts on Apex. I don't do Apex anymore because they banned me, so I can't really increase my funded accounts. So I've moved to Tradify and Funded Next, and some Top Step. Oh yeah, I remember. That's why I can't show. I can show the. Oh, yeah, never mind. I took it on Funded Next. It's fine. So this is what I took here on this high. I couldn't take it on my other Funded Next. I mean my other Apex, just because I only have 2 Apex fundeds left. I breached the rest of them just because I withdrew everything, and so I copy trade my 2 Apex to 2 different groups. I copy trade my Apex to my Funded Next, and then I copy trade my other Apex to my Top Step, and then the Tradify. I'm going to cop that as well really really soon. And so this is the one I took with the other group. And yeah, also I forgot to mention why I exited here on NQ. This was more of a luck did kind of play a part here. Well, not luck, but the circumstances. Because I was out eating dinner, right? When this played out, and I just took it on my phone, and as soon as I opened the chart, I saw that YM was trading higher. Now, what did I mention earlier? High quality expansions are produced when all of the assets in the when all the correlated pairs are moving together, right, in the same direction. I.e., if I want to short NQ, I want to make sure YM and ES are also going lower. And when I saw this high, I had doubts. Well, I didn't believe that NQ was going to rip to the highs as well. But if YM is expanding higher, it is going to prevent NQ from expanding lower with the same strength, right? And after I exited that, I viewed ES and I was like, what the hell happened here? And it turns out ES ended up taking the low. So I did make the right call by exiting here. But if I saw that ES, that would have been the other valid reason to exit this trade, right? Because YM was also expanding as well. So I didn't want to short when YM is expanding higher. And so I exited there and I got a pretty good fill, pretty good exit compared to if it would have hit me break even. And what else? yeah, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. This is just me testing the copy trader for the new accounts he funded. So yeah, there's absolutely nothing else that I can. Um, yeah, there's nothing else I'm leaving out now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys picked up some of the stuff that I discussed in this video. I do truly wish to make this video longer, but my voice is getting really raspy because I did record a 45-minute lecture video, but I got distracted and I wasn't able to produce the best lecture simply because I took the YM trade while I was doing the lecture. So I was just looking at it, and a lot of the time, like probably half the video, I was just pausing, look at RTY. I was like, "Okay, hold on, let me see what my trade is doing." And so yeah, I kind of got distracted. So I don't have voice. Also, it's 4 in the morning. And I have work tomorrow. I have responsibilities in the morning that I have to tend to. So I really do want to keep this as concise as possible, while at the same time giving you guys the best quality lecture that I can. I will try to be doing more of these in the future if you guys picked up a lot of stuff on it, because I hope you guys do learn a lot from this video. I hope you guys study this material, as this is so good. If you master strength switching, it is the only thing you need to become profitable. It's going to make your trading. It is this, I believe, in my opinion, it is the single most powerful concept that you could use when trading triads. Now, where am I? Okay, so that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy this. I will be dropping a Forex course soon on YouTube, so you guys have something to look forward to. Probably this week or next week. So, yeah, that's everything. Alright, guys, I'll see you in the next lecture.